It wasn't necessarily you from the start. What? You think just because we're married, you're loved? I never imagined my husband would cheat on me and then have the audacity to say such a thing. Overwhelmed with shock, I called my mother, only to receive an unexpected response. Well, isn't that a good thing? Huh? At that moment, I had no clue what she thought was good, but it seemed my mother had her own thoughts on the matter. It was time to bring justice to a husband who showed no remorse for cheating and to a sister who stole another's spouse. My name is Sarah Taylor. I'm currently 35 and work as a pharmacist at a general hospital. Since graduating from college, I've been dedicated to my job, living a life far from leisure or romance. My days were simple, devoid of any drama, until one day, when I received a message from a club member I was briefly affiliated with in college. It seems there was a man he wanted to introduce me to. I learned that this man worked in an all-male environment and had zero opportunities to meet women. They asked if they could share my contact information. Initially puzzled, I figured it'd be rude to decline without reason. After agreeing to share my contact information, the man reached out to me immediately. Hello, I'm David Taylor. Sorry for the sudden approach, but I've heard you're a wonderful lady, so I wanted to chat. I hope you don't mind me sharing your contact info. Our conversations via email and phone were lively, and soon, David and I started dating. My first impression of David was of a man who took charge. He was meticulous in planning our dates and always put ladies first. It felt as if I was being treated like a princess, and my daily life seemed to be colored full of roses. I promise to make you happy. Please be with me. Let's get married. Yes, I'd love to. So, I got married at 33, but since our wedding, I began to notice David changing. Having lived alone for a long time, David had established his own routines. Of course, I had my own habits from living solo, but as a couple, I tried to make adjustments to ensure we both lived harmoniously. Often hearing David complain about his tiring work, I took it upon myself to handle chores like cooking, cleaning, and laundry. However, this might have backfired. Before I knew it, David seemed to have adopted the mindset that household chores aren't his job. I was gonna take a bath, but what's this? There's trash in the drain. I'm sorry, I'm cooking right now and can't step away. Would you mind cleaning it up? What? Why do I have to clean right after coming home from work? With a click of his tongue, David began preparing to go out somewhere. Hey, what's up? Dinner will be ready soon. Why are you ordering me around? It's really off-putting. Ordering you? I didn't. Besides, where are you going this late? Anywhere I want. You gonna boss me around? He slammed the door and seemed to have left. Sometimes I might be lacking in household chores, or if I ask for small favors, he becomes grumpy right away. He acts like a rebellious teenager. He wasn't like this before we got married. With these thoughts, I've been spending more time alone. Lately, I've been holding back from saying unnecessary things to David. I don't say much, don't ask for anything, and keep my reactions neutral. I've been wondering if this is what married life is supposed to be like. Around that time, I've noticed David coming home particularly late. Maybe he's been busy at work, working weekends and unexpected late shifts. I hope he doesn't get sick. You've been coming home late recently. Busy at work? You trying to boss me around again? That's so annoying. It's work, okay, work. He responded in an irritated manner, and we stopped talking after that, but I know. One of my acquaintances is a junior coworker of David, and she told me some concerning things. She mentioned David reducing his overtime for family time and that she's seen him arm in arm with someone, disappearing into the night multiple times. I don't remember ever walking arm in arm with David, but something does come to mind. I have a twin sister, and even as adults, people sometimes mistake us. Our faces look identical, but my sister, who's vibrant with makeup and always dresses elegantly, is quite charming. If anyone mistook someone for me, it'd probably be her. Hey David, my friend said she saw you last Wednesday night around 7 p.m. Oh? Really? Around 7 p.m.? What were you doing then? I don't remember, maybe I was at the convenience store? As he said this, not taking his eyes off his phone, I noticed his fingers trembling. I decided to be direct. She said you were walking arm in arm with me. But I was working late that day. What are you trying to say? Spit it out. Have you been seeing my sister, Scarlett, behind my back? So what's your point? When I confronted David about cheating, he started saying things he never expected. Suddenly, he stood up from the sofa and glared at me. You know, it wasn't necessarily about you in the first place. What? You think just 'cause we're married means you're loved? What? I mean, when we were dating, didn't we get married because we loved each other? No way. Someone plain like you don't exactly stand out when you're beside me. Don't stand out? Huh? So, you think it's okay to cheat with my sister? While fiddling with his smartphone, David replied with a sigh. Look, I want to become an influencer someday, and looking good on camera matters, right? If I were to choose someone, it'd be Scarlett. What? Influencer? What are you talking about? Besides, you're a pharmacist, so even if I mess up, we won't have any financial issues. The unexpected comments kept coming, and I was having a hard time processing everything. So, are you saying our marriage is just a safety net? Kinda feels that way, doesn't it? So, you didn't marry me because you loved me? Don't flatter yourself too much. Who do you think would fall for a plain Jane like you? David gave a mocking smile, looking right at me. I've always thought this, but you don't really make an effort with your makeup or clothes. You just don't care, do you? Listening to this nonsense, I raised my voice. Then why don't you divorce me and marry Scarlett? You don't even understand how I feel. I don't care. I'm just with you 'cause I want to achieve my dreams and have a good life. You should be thankful. What? How can you expect me to be grateful in this situation? David, with a smug look on his face, waved his hand dismissively and then returned his gaze to his smartphone. If I hadn't confessed to you, you'd probably still be single, right? Just stop making fun of me. I want a divorce right now. No way. I ain't gonna divorce you. Plus, I don't know what our company and your parents would say. And of course, don't tell anyone about this. I was shaking with anger. After everything, you have the audacity to tell me not to speak out? Well, I doubt anyone would believe you anyway. My mind went blank with shock. I was all mixed up and couldn't think straight, but suddenly decided to call my mother, even though it was early in the morning. When I got married, she heard David's greetings and knew him well enough. I thought she would understand me with a brief talking. What's up calling so early? And are you crying? No, not really. Just spill it, what happened? Prompted by my mother, I explained everything that had happened. After listening to the story about David and Scarlett, she exclaimed loudly. Well, that's good, isn't it? Huh? I was puzzled, not understanding what she found good about the situation. Just lay off for now and leave David be for a bit. But just leaving him be. You chip away at these situations bit by bit. Taking my mother's advice, I decided to let David stew for a while. A few nights later, I met my mother at a cafe. Is it okay for you to be out this late? Isn't Scarlett at home? Scarlett said she's on a date. She mentioned something about a new boyfriend recently, but after hearing about Sarah, it made sense. So she's been telling you she's going on dates when she heads out? Yeah, typical Scarlett stuff. I've felt since high school that she's been a bit loose with her relationships, but I never thought it'd lead to this. My mother sighed, drinking her iced tea left in the glass at once. We need to keep a close eye on those two. She started fiddling with her smartphone, but after a while, she looked up with a mischievous grin. Next time, bring David over to our place. I've already texted him. She showed me the text message on her phone. It mentioned needing help with shopping and the need for some muscle as she was planning to buy something heavy. Guys like him act all nice in public. Just ask for some help and you'll see his true colors. I see. On the agreed day, I headed to my parents' house with David. On the way to my parents' house, it seemed like David suddenly remembered something and started speaking. Hey, I think you know this, but if you tell your parents about that incident, I won't let it slide. Even if you do, they probably won't believe it anyway. You've got to be kidding. Why on earth would I say that? What's in it for me? While discussing this, they arrived at my parents' house. David, it's been a while. I'm sorry for bothering you on your day off. It really helps that you came. No worries, I just wanted to be of assistance to you. My mother greeted David with a bright smile. Suddenly, as if she remembered something, she made a suggestion. Oh right, Scarlett got the day off from work too. She mentioned wanting to go shopping together. Would that be okay with you, David? Of course. Well, shall we head to the mall? The shopping center was about a 30-minute drive from my parents' house. Before we shop, there's a place I'd like to go. Without hesitation, my mother briskly moved through the mall. We ended up at a jewelry shop hosting a special Valentine's Day corner. There was a flyer about a special gift for couples who wrote their wishes for love, and a chance to win a grand prize through a lottery. I often see campaigns giving candies to kids who write their wishes, but I didn't know they have ones for adults too. It says couples and married folks can participate. Why not give it a shot, Sarah and David? You might get lucky. Seeing that poster, David began to back away hesitantly. Well, I'm not really into these seasonal promotions. Valentine's is all about love between couples. It's something couples and spouses should do together. While emphasizing spouses, my mother chuckled mischievously. I always knew my mother wore her heart on her sleeve, and she was definitely up to something. Realizing this, I decided to play along. Come on, let's give it a try. There's a lottery where 3 couples can win a luxury resort hotel stay. That resort hotel? You two never really had a proper wedding, so why not take some wedding photos there? I'm not much for photos, and we might not even win. We haven't won yet, but we might. Excuse me, ma'am. Before David could decline again, I called over a store employee and expressed their interest in participating in the Valentine's event. However, the employee's face turned sour upon seeing them. The employee stated that they couldn't participate in the event. Huh? The flyer said couples and spouses can join. I'm sorry, but we don't allow second-time participants. Second time? This is our first time ever visiting this mall. Suddenly, I turned around and saw 2 people fidgeting. I couldn't believe it, and when I looked back at my mother, she was asking the store clerk something. What do all participants in this promotion receive as a gift? It's this charm. It's a special design just for this year. Saying this, the clerk brought out a shooting star design charm that looked familiar. It was the same charm I had glimpsed on David's bag. I remember spotting it casually when I was observing a pouch I didn't recognize he owned. Could this be the shooting star on David's pouch? Hearing this, my mother immediately sprang into action. That's odd. Scarlett had something similar recently. Excuse me for a sec. As my mother said this, she reached into Scarlett's bag and pulled out a wallet. Just as I thought, it's attached right here. I had a feeling. Mom, stop it! Don't go through someone's wallet! You're not a thief! David, who was watching the mother-daughter squabble, seemed even more nervous than before, bouncing his knee. Look at him jittering. Maybe he's panicking because he's been caught on a date with someone else? But David snapped back loudly at the front of the store. What the hell? Just because of one accessory, you're gonna make a big deal out of it? This sucks. I'm the one who's upset here. My mother smirked mischievously, putting a hand on David's shoulder. Let me get this straight, David. You left your wife, Sarah, to have a date as a couple with her twin sister, Scarlett? No, you've got it all wrong, my mother-in-law. I just got this charm from someone nearby when we went to the bar. They said it was a charm for a happy marriage. Don't even try to lie like that at this moment. It's obvious. What I realized later was that these shooting star charms given away at the event had serial numbers engraved on them. The serial numbers matched, and this became the conclusive evidence that gave away to my mother. We need to have a proper talk. If you have anything to say it at home. When we got home and all four of us gathered in the living room, the atmosphere became tense, like a wake. I didn't even know about such an event. Mom, where did you hear about it? I got a tip from a colleague at work. Apparently, it's become a sort of power spot among those who cheat. They say if you can keep those matching items without getting caught, you're destined to be together. While discussing this, my mother addressed David and Scarlett. So, are you gonna explain in detail? David, you're married to Sarah but cheating on her. Besides, you're cheating with Sarah's twin sister, Scarlett. Is that right? Well, yeah, something like that. I can't believe he's laughing it up at a time like this. But they're sisters, so I'm still your precious family, right? I mean, they're from the same family, so why bring up such an unpleasant topic? You hurt your wife and prayed at that place. Does that mean you're serious about it? Well, something like that. Scarlett is so feminine and lovely, she knows how to step back and let a man lead. Suddenly, David became talkative and began to spill the beans on why he cheated. For me, I was thinking I wanted to be with Scarlett from now on. Really? My mother just listened quietly to David's outrageous story without uttering a word. I couldn't bear just sitting and listening any longer when suddenly, Scarlett leaned in closer. We are serious. I mean, Sarah got married first, but he truly loves me. He always tells me that. If you're that serious, then why not just get a divorce or remarry or whatever you want right now? David, taking my mother's words as a sign of permission, started to get carried away. So, I appreciate your understanding in the long run, my mother-in-law. And Sarah, I'm gonna remarry Scarlett, so this is it between me and you. It's not over yet. There are things that need to be settled, right? David seemed taken aback by my mother's words for a moment but quickly resumed his smug grin. You're saying not to end it, but didn't you just forgive me for divorcing Sarah and being with Scarlett? But still. It's true I've borrowed money from Sarah within a certain range. But since I'm still part of the family after the divorce, don't you think returning it would be just silly and crass? Immediately after hearing David's words, Mother turned to me and asked. That's a valid point, isn't it? Hold on a second. I can't accept this, divorcing without debt repayment or an apology and then remarrying. I've talked to a lawyer, one of my acquaintances. I showed them a loan book, which I had prepared just in case, following the advice of a lawyer. You're gonna pay $40,000 to Sarah? She's earning her own money, isn't that enough? Do you want more? You such a greedy person. As the two argued loudly, my mother made a proposal. You're starting a new life together, and you don't want to give a huge sum like $40,000 to Sarah, who can earn her own money, right? That's right. Recovering debt from one's own family is a bad joke. Divorce is not a happy occasion, but Scarlett getting married is something to celebrate. I'll cover David's debt up to $30,000 for Scarlett. Mom, you're the best. I'm so happy. But I have one condition. I want you to think about this. The document my mother presented read waiver of inheritance agreement. Inheritance waiver? So, if Scarlett agrees that, you'll take care of the debt for me, right? I don't really get it, but this means Mom's gonna help us with our wedding funds, right? Then, we've gotta agree with that. Facing the unbelievable notion of my mother paying my husband's debt, I felt like crying on the spot. There must be some hidden agenda my mother has. However, instead of helping me, who's been hurt by an affair and subsequent divorce, she's siding with my twin sister and cleaning up the mess. After ensuring that all the necessary procedures had been properly understood, my mother said we could end this matter. When we reconvened after our lawyer told us the application was accepted, my mother muttered as if talking to herself. Now that Scarlett has renounced inheritance, it'll belong to Sarah, I guess. Huh? Inheritance? Why bring it up now? Although David seemed utterly confused with countless questions floating in his head, Mother continued her soliloquy. The commercial building downtown, the apartment in the next town, the convenience store beside it, and this house too. I can't wait to see how much they'll be worth in the future. Hearing this, David and Scarlett abruptly stood up, causing a loud noise. This is the first I've heard of this. You tricked us. If that's the case, I can help manage the properties or something. What are you blabbering about? You think I'd trust someone who can easily betray others and then act all innocent? Why didn't you tell us? We lived together for so long, and you never mentioned it. It's from my uncle. He's been a landowner for a long time, but he doesn't have any children. So, there's no one to inherit it. That's why it came to me. What's it to you anyway? Well, you could at least give us one of the apartments. Like a wedding gift, a love nest. Save your dreams for bedtime. This is all written in the documents. Neither of you read it, did ya? Maybe you two are a match in some weird way. My mother chuckled and stored the documents in a nearby safe. In the end, the money that my mother paid could be seen as some sort of palimony. You have been a real pain. Always relying on me, saying it's easier to stay at home. But living alone is scary, and strangers come around. You bring it upon yourself. You're always getting into some kind of trouble and bringing it home. It's been a real hassle. According to my mother, Scarlett had been reckless with her relationships even before adulthood, causing constant trouble. At that time, I was focused solely on my studies and started living alone when I went to college. So, I wasn't very familiar with how my mother and Scarlett lived. But from what my mother said and how she said it, it was easy to imagine the difficulties. There was a time when 3 men claiming to have been duped by Scarlett stormed our home. And when she dated a married man, his wife came shouting at our doorstep. It's been hell. Isn't that the same as an affair? Just like what she's doing now. I thought she had finally settled down, and then I hear about an affair with Sarah's husband. After my divorce was finalized, David and Scarlett filed their marriage papers and became a couple. But what really kept them going was the thrill of their secret relationship. Ever since David divorced me and started living together with Scarlett, aspects of each other that they didn't want to see or know about began to emerge. Every time it appeared to be, the relationship between them were getting more sour. Furthermore, it became widely known at David's workplace that he had divorced due to an affair. He's been treated like a hot potato because rumors say he made a move on his wife's sister. A mutual friend who works at the same office as David told me that he's gonna be transferred to a sales office in Nebraska soon. Well, he's essentially been demoted, hasn't he? But you know how he is, he might not even realize why he's been demoted. True. That's quite possible. One day, I was having tea at a cafe with my mother while I was taking a half-day off to use up some paid leave. It's a local favorite and a nice spot to chat, but I didn't expect to run into the last person I wanted to see there. Sarah, I'm gonna be transferred. Oh, really? But you brought this on yourself, right? It's a sales office that's a half-day away by train. Isn't our manager harsh? They won't even cover my moving expenses. Well, that figures. Why the heck not? It's a company order, they should at least cover the moving costs. I've been working hard for the company. He seemed totally oblivious to the fact that he was being demoted because of his own actions. What's more, the nerve of him trying to squeeze relocation costs from the company. Hey! Can you lend me some money for the moving expenses? Or I can take it as a promotion bonus or something. You talk without realizing the absurdity of what you're saying. Besides, I don't need you anymore. Please get out of my sight. Ever since I divorced David, my days have been like a breath of fresh air. Recently, I thought about trying something new. A comic I casually posted on social media turned out to be a huge hit. I never thought a comic about my sister taking away my husband, mixed with some fiction, would be read by so many people. I feel blessed to be able to take on new challenges, encouraged by warm messages from fans. Maybe by sharing it in the form of a comic and having it read by many, some of my unpleasant memories are being processed. I hope to continue living fulfilling days, both in my work and with my comics.